Thank you, Mr. Weir. We'll go now to back to a 7-minute round. We'll start with Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Chair. As a former technology journalist specialized in free and open source software, I intend to get a bit into the weeds with shared services. So if there are any technical staff accompanying you, I'd encourage them to come up to the table and identify themselves. First of all, I want to know, of the 23,000 servers across 485 data centers that the Minister referred to, how many of them run on open source software, and are we exploring significant migration away from proprietary software models toward open source software options as we transition towards 7 data centers? On the Hill, just for example, I cannot use anything but Internet Explorer because we are told it is the only browser that meets our security standards, which anyone who's been in the industry more than a few hours knows is kind of funny. And so on the server side, the various flavors of Linux make very nice replacements for the various flavors of Unix and Windows. And I just want to make sure that we're considering open source software in a serious way as we move forward.
Well, I'm not a technologist, I'm afraid. So right up front. And I'm going to ask Graham if we'll ask the technology expert, Patrice Rondeau, to take on that question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Open source has been and continues to be an area that we focus our attention on when we have to expand our platform, especially as part of the workload migration, moving from the older legacy environment to the new. We're looking at opportunity to exploit open source software. On the data center side, we have 26,000 physical server, but we have up to 74,000 OS instances. So we have virtual servers sitting on physical server, and I would say approximately 15% is running Linux.
What are the other 75% or 85% running generally?
Oh, the remainder, you mean?
Yeah, the old
Yes.
legacy Unix systems, or are we looking at Windows servers or some combination? Or?
Oh, we're running Windows servers for a large percentage. We're running all flavors of Unix. We have HPUX, we have IBM AIX. We have a lot of mainframe capability also. The larger departments still rely heavily on mainframe computers.
Okay. Are we still using 32-bit signed integers to store time anywhere in government, or are we going to be vulnerable to Y2K38?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Are we still using 32-bit signed integers to store dates anywhere in government, or are we ready for Y2K38 bug?
We're still using 32-bit machine, but mostly 64-bit machines, if that's what the question is.
That's
and
the question.
We still have a lot of RISC-based environment. So we still run some Solaris, some HPUX, some IBM P series. What we inherited 4 or 5 years ago was all the flavor of every types of servers and computers that existed probably at the time.
I'm always surprised to hear RISC still exists, but that's another story. I'm probably the only member of Parliament to have a PGP key, and I'm definitely the only member of Parliament to be in the Debian keyring. What I'm wondering is if government employees will be encouraged to adopt PGP key signatures, trust rings, or other cryptographic authentication systems.
Yeah, I cannot really respond to this question, but I can follow up and get back to the committee.
I'm looking for some translation.
No. Sorry, it's not the kind of translation they can help us with. PGP is pretty good privacy. It's a fairly old standard, but it allows cryptographically signed or encrypted emails. And it's something that I've used in the open source community for many years, and it's a
good privacy.
Yeah, pretty good privacy. Or implemented through the GNU Privacy Guard. It's a long thing, but it's a very reliable, very well-known system outside of government, and I would like to in the technology community, and I would like to see it or some kind of variant used in government because it's an added level of security to have PGP signed emails with a trust ring where I've signed your key and you've signed my key. So I'd like to at least have the government explore that if that's possible.
Okay, we can explore and get back to the committee if you'd like.
And when the response comes back, I'll translate it back for you, Mr. Blaine.
Mr. Chair, if I might, we'll come back with an explanation of what we do in terms of secure keys and that type of service, but just to note, Shared Services Canada does not provide services to the House of Commons.
No, that's fair. But this is government-wide. This is a lot of email accounts and a lot of servers and a lot of systems. Are we moving, or have we moved to full IPv6 support across the network?
IPv6, I'm the data center ADM at...
Then we can have a nice long conversation and nobody will have a clue what we're talking about.
No, IPv6 I'm quite familiar with.
No, we will.
Yeah. We have initiative on the way, mostly with our network area or our network branch, and they've been implementing and looking at implementing IPv6, but I couldn't give you all the details. I would have to go back to our network branch specialist.
Right. What kind of hardware are we running mostly? Like, do you know?
For network?
In the network and the server side.
On the server side, we're running all existing hardware, probably of the last 15 years. We probably have in our 400 and so data centers right now. But the newer platform are mainly blade type servers.
Okay, how much time do you have?
You've got about 45 seconds.
Okay, that's a little bit. How many, just out of morbid curiosity perhaps, how many domain names do we own as a government? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I couldn't respond. We have one main domain, which is .ca, but
That's
beyond...
Syria, that's not us.
Yeah, NFS, yes. But specific domain name count, I would have to check with our security person. Would you know, Raj? No.
Okay.
So our network experts would probably be able to give you that count.
Okay, I look forward to doing this again sometime. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Would you like us to go back?
Well, my time, I believe, is up. So.
Yeah, perhaps if you could get that information to the committee at a later date, that would be appreciated. And now, speaking from someone who is still trying to figure out how a fax machine works, we'll turn the conversation over to Mr. Blaney for 7 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, not to call me a dinosaur, but I appreciate that. My question will be